There's a lot about this game that I appreciate so far. Wo Long feels similar to Neo, but there are also enough elements that set it apart. This game feels a lot more fast-paced, and it seems to be a lot more tactical. The system that gets tweaked in this game is the spirit meter, which is just like Key from Neo, in which you have to basically wear down the enemy's stamina bar while also doing damage. And the faster you can get the stamina bar down, you can get the big hits in, especially the critical hits. This deflect mechanic is really sweet and satisfying, and this game particularly, the dodge is the most important. You dodge at the very last second. You not only get to whip around the enemy and stab them in the back, but it does damage to their spirit. There's some other really interesting new features in this game, which is basically going to be Neo 3, but it seems like a mix of Neo and maybe some other games. Finally, a jump button, which I think really helps this game's frenetic combat. I'm always running into battle and jumping, and you can jump right over enemies instead of just dodging them. This is something I didn't use so much in Elden Ring, but I think I'll be using it a lot more for fighting in this game. You have the 5-phase affinities, which doesn't seem to just be different stances. It seems like there's going to be some kind of counterplay. As you see here, it explains how each element counteracts the other, so I'm interested to see how that's going to work in the main game. There's a lot of other features that aren't fully explained here in the demo. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of skill trees, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of customization, similar to Neo. And if that's the case, it'll be a hell of a progression system and a lot of replay value. But the gameplay feels really good. It's very fast-paced. The enemies are pretty tough. But again, the game is pretty tactical. There doesn't seem to be anything cheap in this game. As long as you have timing and rhythm, you'll be just fine. But of course, it's a very high risk and very high reward system. As to be expected, this game is very stylish, and of course the co-op returns. And I've experienced this game both with co-op and solo. Pretty good little challenge on the first boss, and the first level I think the graphics are pretty good. Good level design. I do think they should add something like a tea bag. That would be nice. And I don't know if they'll have some of the overpowered emotes from Neo. But there's a lot of interesting mechanics here. There's going to be magic spells returning. It seems to be some great combinations that you can put together with your weapon and your magic spells. It seems like there's going to be a whole lot of combat variety, and definitely something that the hardcore people will have enough enjoyment with to master. Definitely seems like there's going to be classes too. There's something for stealth, something for different elements depending on what element you start with. There's going to be guardian spirits, it looks like. There's going to be something for the support class to play in co-op, so there seems like there's going to be, once again, a whole lot of options for how you want to play. And another thing that's really interesting that I think is going to potentially make this game brutal is obviously the new system where you have not only your main level, but you also have a little meter, the mortality meter, and by killing enemies you get your mortality meter to go up. And there's also something called fortitude. I think this raises your attack level and defense level, but it's only relative to what level the other enemies are. So every time you die, you not only lose your currency or lose a portion of it, but you also lose some of your mortality. If you don't go back and kill the enemy that got you, you're going to lose that permanently. And that's a major setback than just losing some of your currency and okay, you can go back and pick it up. No, you have to go back and deliberately fight that enemy. This is a really interesting system there. There's a lot more. There's a lot more cool stuff. I think stylistically this just is shaping up to be a really cool game with definitely some really good combat for the hardcore. There's not really much more to say right now, but I'm definitely really excited as a Neo fan. I think Team Ninja, especially these guys, they know what they're doing. So we're in for a treat. Oh, let's kill him. Oh, wow, he's easy, man. Wait, that's only phase 1, isn't it? Oh no.